Okay guys, are you ready? Are you ready for the first ever study with me video on my channel? So here we go, without further ado, let's get straight into this video and I really hope you enjoy it. So we'll just start straight away in the morning when I woke up, which was just on 8, and I just kind of casually woke up. Yeah, I was a bit tired. I normally start my day with water and spoke to Dad, who came down and was a bit confused as to why I was filming myself in my dressing gown.
I set my alarm for like a lot earlier than this, but my body was like, nah, I'm not getting up. I just decided to snooze my alarm about 100 times and then I got up at 8 o'clock. Clearly my body is not that eager to start working.
Yeah, so I don't really force my body to get up, I just get up whenever I feel ready to. So today it was 8 o'clock, and then after I got dressed I went straight to my room and started on my to-do list for the day. So to make it more manageable for each day, I try and condense what I want to do onto one little sticky note.
This pen has stuff in, but it's running out. Oh.
Right, so after finding a new pen that actually did work, I finished off my to-do list. So I wrote down the stuff that I wanted to do, as I said, that day specifically. And yes, here is my desk setup. I thought it would be nice to show you guys because it's quite Christmassy at the moment. Obviously it's the winter holidays. And as a little daily dose of inspiration for you guys, I found this quote that I put on my desk that day, and it also kind of motivated me. It wasn't really work related, but it's quite nice to have some positivity quotes. So I planned out my day and then I went to my box behind my desk, which is where I store all my work, and I basically got out the folders that I was going to be using that day, so they were just accessible. This is my box of work that literally comes with me everywhere to uni. It comes home with me, filled with all my work. It's not actually that organised at the moment because these are the ring binders that I need to sort out this year's work in, but at the moment it's just in all these small folders which are completely overflowing. Look at this, like it's starting to rip the pages, and that's when I cannot deal because it's too full. And this really old folder has nice ballerina stickers and flower stickers on it. Love that. So that day I'd planned to do mostly revision but also some set work. The first thing I decided to do was take Star on a walk, which is what I do most days, and I also took some lecture notes with me, which I just stuffed in my pocket, as you just saw. So I really like to go out first thing in the morning and do some revision in the fresh air because it clears my mind, and I also find that if I don't have easy access to a computer or the internet, then it means that if I don't understand a concept, then I will think about it a bit harder and maybe try and work it out for myself instead of relying on Google. I was waving at the clearly invisible cows back then, by the way, and I also found some ice and decided to play with it, which was really fun actually. It's really cold and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to read my notes because turning the pages with like fat fingers with my gloves on is really hard, and then if I take my gloves off I probably still won't be able to feel my fingers because I'll be so numb because it's so frosty this morning. So I don't know how well this is going to go, but I'm going to get my lecture notes out anyways because otherwise it was pointless me folding them and shoving them in my pocket. So yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, not gonna lie, reading with massive gloves on and when it was quite cold, but I did get some reading done, and the wind actually helped turn the pages sometimes, which was a bit handy. So I go on a dog walk for about an hour and then I got back and had breakfast and then spilt on my notes.
My nice notes are ruined.
So we just scoop it up with a spoon. So get back to reading again. So this time I wasn't reading lecture notes, I was actually doing a bit of revision from my own notes that I'd made. And going back to the dog walk, I wasn't reading for the whole time, it was probably about 20 to 30 minutes. So this was on my to-do list. I wanted to revise at least one topics from one of my modules. This was my pathology module, and the topic I was revising was tolerance actually, and these were my revision notes that I'm just showing you now. The lecture notes that I was reading before were from another module and they were just about genome sequencing. But yes, so these are my revision notes. I haven't really spoken too much about how I revise exactly on my channel, so if you're interested in a video about how I revise and how I study, then please like this video and comment down below whatever you would like to see, because I would like to put out more studying videos for you guys, because I feel that you will want them and you will benefit from them. Also, it's quite nice to start my day eating my breakfast and just reading instead of being on a screen, because I find that a lot of my work is done on a screen, and if I stare at a computer all day, it will just give me a headache and I won't feel that great. So I especially like to start my day off not being on a screen, so it's a really good way to do it, just by reading and eating breakfast.
Oh my gosh, it's going everywhere on my work. Not again. My nice notes are being ruined by my orange. Now the papaya first, now the orange.
Okay, so I'd finished breakfast and I'd finished reading, and I'm just going to say that I don't do that every day, but today I was, and those notes were the lecture notes that had come out of my pocket. They didn't turn out too bad in the end. I then set myself up at my desk, so I put my blanket over my lap because it was a bit cold. I turned my hair up and drank some water.
Hey Dad?
And then I actually got a phone call from Dad, but that's fine. I just answered quickly and then I got into my work. So the first thing I was doing at my desk and officially kind of working was based around the lecture notes that I was reading on the dog walk. So I was actually making my own condensed version of those notes. It's one of the ways that I revise, to give you a little idea as to how I revise and the strategies I use. I know it sounds really boring and quite a passive way to revise, but I can't work from notes that have been written out by somebody else. I have to almost write out the notes myself, and especially because they're so dense and often they don't make sense in the way that they've been ordered or the way that they've been written, so I have to just write them out myself, I find. And
sequencing workflow.
At this moment, I'd also found that it was easier to watch a video of something because I was trying to learn about a process. So as you can see, I was trying to learn about how genomes are sequenced. Nowadays, it's really high tech and the process is quite complicated, so I found a video showing how it's done. It's called Illumina sequencing if you're really interested. But yeah, it was quite a complicated process, and I found that the video really helped me. And I also looked up online some coloured versions. Well, I found the lecture notes online on the Moodle site that we use, and it also had coloured pictures, which was so much more useful than the black and white copy that we'd been given. Colour is always quite nice, especially when you're trying to understand what's going on, because it is really complicated, as you can see. So it was around midday and I was still working on those notes. I was writing out a different process this time, but it was still quite diagrammatical, and it was about understanding how something works again, and that is what I got done, as you can see. We're gonna push for 1 o'clock to be done with this.
Go, 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 Holly, go. Let's do it.
And then I moved on to working on the computer, and I was still working on the same block of lecture notes and the same lecture in particular. At this point in time, I was actually creating a table to compare the 4 different processes that I'd been learning about, and I thought that it was easier to type up on a computer, because often when you're reading through notes and you're trying to compile information, especially into a table, if you miss something out and you're handwriting it, then it can be quite hard to fit it in and it gets all messy. And I was just like, I'm just gonna type it up.
Remember to save your work.
Yes, everyone, literally remember to save your work, because the worst thing is finding that you have lost it all. I've been sitting here typing away, like tippity type, and I always do this. I'm literally busting for the toilet right now, and I'm really hungry. Does anybody else do that? They just sit and work and keep going, and you stand up and you're like, oh, I need the toilet, so I'm gonna run down to the toilet now. And it's almost 1 o'clock and I haven't finished these notes. Gosh. So I literally ran down to the toilet, and I also got a snack at the same time. Then I came back and tried to finish off these notes, which actually took me so much longer than I expected. But typing things on the computer would make it a bit faster, but it turned out that it took longer than I thought anyway, which happens quite often because at university especially it's hard to judge how long things are going to take you because it depends on how well you understand it and how well you grasp a topic. So this took longer than expected, yes, but that is fine. I just had to accept the fact that I was not going to get it done before lunch and I just have to finish off a bit afterwards, but that was fine. We just powered through.
Come on, smorfs, whatever. Smorfs. Biology is literally just a load of jargon. Smorfs. Like Smurfs. The lecturer actually made a joke about that they're not the little people, the little blue people that run around. Smorfs. Literally, why does biology do this to me? Why do you create so many weird words?
So that is the aftermath of my intense session of work in the morning. It gets a bit messy, but I tidied up before I went down. We went until about 2 o'clock, I think, and then I decided I was so hungry I literally went downstairs and had lunch. And that was actually the first time I picked up my phone and actually looked on social media that day. I took a quick boomerang of my food because it looked quite pretty. I then scrolled down, spread the love, double tapped a few times. I replied to some comments and some messages on my Instagram, which is @veganhology, in case you're wondering, not Holly Gabrielle. I would like it to be Holly Gabrielle, but that's another story. I am actually going to be doing a Q&A very soon about the modules that I'm doing this year in my second year of doing natural sciences. So I'm going to be asking you guys questions on my Instagram and Snapchat, so you can head over there if you want to get involved and ask me some questions. But if you're very eager, then you can just comment them down below now and I can try and include those. Anyway, I then decided that I was gonna finish trying to read through the topic from pathology that I'd started reading in the morning, because I ate lunch after my brother and my mum, who were also in the house, and so I wasn't being that unsociable, and mum was actually doing some work as well. I think she was sorting through some tax and bank stuff and all that jazz, so I thought, why not join in, have a little collaborative work session. And so yes, I was just revising the same topic that I'd been doing in the morning. I grabbed a pen that was just hanging around on the table, and I also found a ruler in this pencil case as well. It's actually my sister's, so that was really handy. I read through the notes basically, and I also use a ruler sometimes to just underline some of the key points when I'm going over it, so it's not just me reading, to make it a bit more worthwhile and so that it sunk in a bit better, because I am very much a visual and kinesthetic learner, so reading things doesn't really work that well for me, but it's useful when I'm doing other things like eating. So I decided to draw out things from memory, and this topic, as I said, is from pathology. It's to do with immunity and antibodies and lots of stuff like that. If you've done biology, this will sound a bit familiar, but I thought that by drawing out the diagram I could understand how things worked a bit better and see if I could remember things, see if I was getting it right. It was literally so messy, as you can see, but I just try and write things down really quickly. This, as well as everything else I learn about nowadays and at university, is really complicated, so diagrams work well, and especially for this subject. But yeah, it doesn't matter about what it looks like because it's just done on a scrap piece of paper. Actually, this was one that my mum was working from, but I'm sure she didn't mind, and I left a note so she knew it was me. Okay, so I'd finished basically eating lunch and sitting with mum for a bit. I then came upstairs and printed off the notes that I'd written up on the computer this morning. So that was just based on that lecture that I was working from, as I was telling you all about. I then set up my room again. I turned on my Christmas lights and my lamp because it goes dark really early at the moment. I then organised my folder by hole punching some things. I added some extra notes that I'd forgotten to add, or I felt that it was easier to add once I printed it out. Yes! I have done. So yeah, as you can see, I was really happy with myself that I'd finished that bit of work. and I then filed it all away, which was a bit of a struggle, as I said, because the folder was overflowing and it was hard to get things in and make sure it didn't split the page and rip, and oh, it was a bit of a nightmare. But
not think about it.
yeah, I just closed it and shoved it away quickly, and then I actually could tick some things off my to-do list. So I'd finished revising that one topic from pathology, and I'd also finished working from the lecture notes. So then I moved on to the third thing that I definitely wanted to do that day, which was some multiple choice questions. So for pathology, or it's called biology of disease. Now basically for that module, one of the papers that I do is a multiple choice paper at the end of the year, so I decided to do some past paper questions, and they are the hardest things ever. Literally, they are so frustrating. They're really hard, they're really detailed, and you need to literally know the whole lecture notes off by heart. It is not a joke. It is ridiculous the amount we still have to know. But so I worked from my notes. I didn't do it without looking because I wasn't at that stage to do so. These are literally going to be the death of me. Even with my notes, I still get things wrong. How could multiple choice questions be so flippin' hard? What? I'm sorry, but the word an, A-N, changes the whole meaning of the sentence, and therefore changes the answer. Multiple choice questions are the hardest thing ever. One website says this, the answer says it's not that. How am I supposed to know? Direct induction of acute phase protein response. Well, this website says acute phase reactions. Oh my gosh. For goodness sake, couldn't they have given us a glossary of all these cytokines in? It might have helped. Dear me. But yeah, so I think you understand my frustration for these multiple choice questions. They are so hard and so difficult, but I just worked through some of the questions from this one past paper, and I should say they're not actually multiple choice. They're basically a set of questions. They come in sets of 5 where you have to say whether each statement is true or false. So as I said, tiny words just change the whole meaning of each sentence. So after I'd done a few of those, I actually went and did a workout in a room in my house, which is not a gym, but it's functioning as a gym. And FYI, that is the first time that I've been lifting weights at the moment. I've never done it before in my whole life. I've only started doing it this winter holiday, and I also did some skipping, and it's my downtime basically. I just allow all my energy, and then I got back to work. So I did a little bit before I went down and helped Mum make food. So I moved on to a different module basically. So I didn't get on straight away. I was just talking to Mum and discussing a few things before I actually fully got into my work. But this time I was just planning an essay, which I'd also written down on my to-do list for that day, and Milka came and joined me, which she often does. She just likes to sit on my desk. We're learning about vision, Minnie. We're learning about what happens with your eyes. What happens when light hits your eye, Minnie? That's why you can see things. Look, imagine if you couldn't see out of those beautiful eyes. What would happen? You wouldn't be able to see my beautiful face. I'm joking. You're distracting me, please. Stop it. Distracting me, little madam. So after Milka waits about 5 minutes, she decides that she wants to sit on my lap, which is fine. She's often really cute because she will watch the screen, she'll follow my mouse, she'll look at my fingers. I think she finds it really interesting actually. So I was planning an essay about vision, and I actually decided to look over a specific topic from within that lecture series, because I remember I didn't really understand this part of the lecture when it was being lectured to us during term time, so I decided to try and draw it out so I could understand it a bit better and then hopefully include it in my essay. I then went downstairs and helped Mum make food, and whilst pans were boiling and stuff, I decided to look over another topic from pathology, or biology of disease, whatever you want to call it. and that was quite good because I'd already revised one, I moved on to another, and this massive stack of oranges is really festive at the moment. It's in our kitchen. The oranges are so delicious. They're the best tasting oranges. Well, they're actually not oranges, they're like clementines or satsumas or clementines, whatever you want to call them, but they're oranges. They're really good. And after I'd finished dinner, basically, we've moved on pretty fast here. I'm back in my room. I did a bit more work in the evening, so I was working on that essay again, or that essay plan, and I was actually working from some of my revision notes again because I understand things so much better when I work from something I've written out, as I've said before. So that was the final bit of work I did that day, and I think I finished working around 10:30, something like that. I don't exactly remember, but before I actually went to bed, I scribbled out some things on my to-do list. Well, I crossed it out so that I knew that I'd officially finished with that, and then I boxed or circled the things that I still had to do because I don't get through whole to-do lists in one day. It never happens because things take longer than I expected, and I'm a bit over-ambitious sometimes. But yeah, I put everything away basically back in its box, tidied my room a bit, and then I finally went to bed after a very long day of work and revision. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I do to work and to revise. And as I said, please like this video if you enjoyed it, and please like this video if you would like to see more like this in the future, and videos about studying, revising, working, everything like that. Yeah, thank you for watching guys, and I'll see you in my next one.